You're sort of the poster child for ADHD.
Yeah.
This thing of bipolar came up.
I know I'm not normal. Some people call me crazy. I was like, I don't know, I'm not crazy. But
Yeah, so you're creative. Thank you again for doing this.
Thank you.
I read your history. I have questions.
I bet.
I looked at your scans.
Yeah.
I have more questions. And I sort of have an idea what's going on, but tell me your goal. What do you want to get out of this?
My goal, I'm a student. I just want to understand my brain, the overall process. I know I'm not normal. So it'd be interesting that if you could connect some dots for me. But I don't know, I'm eager to learn.
Connect the dots. I
Yeah.
love that. I'm good at that.
Yeah.
When I looked at your history, you're sort of the poster child for ADHD.
Yeah.
Like I wrote a book called Healing ADD, and I'm like, I could have been writing about you, right? From
Indeed.
distractibility, disorganization, poor handwriting, impulsivity. I'm like, okay, he's got that. But then as you filled out the checklist, this thing of bipolar came up.
Mm.
And I'll just go through some of the questions, like having periods of very high self-esteem or grandiose thinking.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a manic episode?
No, I've experienced quite a bit in my life. People having mania and episodes, and so I know what those are.
So you've never
Close
had
in person,
anything
I've
like
never.
that. So it's a different period.
Mind
They talk
speeds
fast,
up, they talk
they
super
walk
fast.
They
You
have
gotta bring
crazy
them back.
ideas.
Yeah.
So you've never had any.
I've never had one of those.
And we talked about your dad with focus issues. You have an uncle with autism, a child with autism.
Yes.
And then you lost another child.
Yes.
So sorry. It's so
Thank you.
awful. Head trauma. Lots of fights. Knocked
Not
out
lots,
3
a
times.
few. Well, I mean, yeah, only 3 losses, Doc.
So if I see evidence of trauma on your scans,
It could
that's
be
where
from
it's
one of
coming
those.
from. That's where it's coming
Yeah.
from. The toxicity, you said you grew up in the projects. You may
Yeah.
have been exposed to toxins. How about things like cigarettes, drugs, alcohol?
Nah, never. Not really. I mean, I never smoked cigarettes. Like, maybe I might have pretended to for a movie role or something like that, but never really, smoked cigarettes. Dabbled in the world of marijuana, but never a habit. I never just tell people I never paid for weed. it was
Yeah,
casual.
you can still smoke a lot if you never paid for it.
Especially if you're a likable guy, right? But no, I never really had a habit of it. Never did it like every day or, it's more occasional thing. If someone had it in the studio or I have a friend who, participates in it, then, socially I might, but never did it to where I needed it or, and never really drank. I don't think I've ever completed a drink of alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah, I've tasted it. I might have toasted, here and there. But
Well, it tastes terrible.
yeah, it's horrible.
I mean,
don't
anything you
understand the
have to get
fascination
used
with
to the taste.
Yeah, I don't understand why
poison.
people like it. And it doesn't seem to make you feel good. Like, I've never seen people, but hey, to each his own. Like, I just see those next day experiences don't seem fun.
And no other drugs like cocaine or
Never tried it.
opiates or anything like that?
Nope. Psilocybin, is that considered a drug?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have participated in that and loved every aspect of it, but not more frequently than once a year in its recent time.
I'm not a huge fan. Any of your children have ADD?
I mean, they haven't been diagnosed yet, but there's definitely a few that seem to have the superpower.
And what are their ages?
I have 12, almost going on 13. So
My goodness.
yeah, it's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. And how do you explain it to yourself?
I definitely go to the spiritual world because it doesn't make sense mentally of just how it all kind of happened. But if I had to honestly explain it to myself, it's just obviously I see all of my children as blessings, and when I say I go to the spiritual place, it's like, yo, it's my duty, it's my assignment, and for whatever reason to have the amount of kids that I have and the interest and fascination that the rest of the world has with me having so many kids is definitely part of my assignment of trying to create as unorthodox as it is, trying to establish to be the best parent I can considering the circumstances. But then, I mean, if we're just being practical, I mean, clearly there was some carelessness in my part, going on. But I was also open to the idea. Like I would definitely say, every child that I have, there's definitely conversations about having children with the mothers of the children that I had. But then I think if I'm analyzing it for where I was in my life, even in that time, I feel like, prior to 2020, I only had 3 children, and I think when the pandemic hit, that year, or just the year 2020 in itself, was a heavy year for me, like it was for many. And I kind of felt like my stability of just like who I am, what am I doing, what's the world becoming? I questioned a lot of that. So I might have found solace in that space, and then ultimately having children. And then it almost was like this, I don't know, it was like just onslaught of my behavior. And I probably had to, ultimately just say, man, I got to chill out. And even in that, interestingly enough, when I lost my son Zen, and like an adverse reaction to just seeking to control it and maybe even understand the process of my emotions and love, I probably was like, hey, I'll have more children, or which was definitely probably not the correct answer. But if I'm analyzing, maybe that's kind of what my subconscious was doing to kind of specifically even the mother that lost in. I think there was even wanting to mend that, or even in having that's my youngest daughter. Like we had another child after Zen. So and I even know there's some studies and some thoughts of where like it might not have been the best thing to do, but it felt healing. It felt, uh, in that I really had no other answer to like how to deal with that pain other than the typical grieving. But to be able to bring another child into the world, I felt like we had the time to, or maybe you never get done grieving, but I think, a lot of people would say we didn't have enough time until we had our next child. But I can definitely say it made things a little bit easier to deal with by knowing that there was another beautiful baby to celebrate.
So let's talk about your brain.
Let's talk about it.
we did a study called SPECT, and SPECT looks at blood flow and activity. It looks at how your brain works, and it basically shows us three things: good activity, too little, or too much. And here's an example of what we want it to look like. When we look at your scan, it's a little lopsided. We want to work on this.
Okay.
And this actually could be part of the trauma, the physical trauma that you have had. So if we look at this scan, it's bumpy.
Yeah.
This is why I said I think there's some form of toxicity.
Okay.
So I think you should get checked for mold and heavy metals.
Really?
Just to make sure, because going back to why do you have lupus?
Right.
Does it like run in everybody in your family, or
Nah, not
you're
really.
the only one that you know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
has
yeah.
lupus? Yeah. I just want to plant that seed.
Okay.
We're going to go hunt down, why do you have lupus?
Right.
Questions?
So, I mean, even in this one, because you said this is more about activity, right?
Yeah. And it's not terribly overactive. My lupus patients, at least when lupus is active, you can see the inflammation. It's wicked. That's not what I'm seeing in your scan.
So you're seeing, what is it? It's leaning more normal, or is it are you saying like in the cerebral, like we need to work on that stuff?
We need to work on your cerebellum.
Oh,
get that more active. And
because right now it's
sleepy on the right side.
Right.
Because that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, my big book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, is you're not stuck with this brain. You can make it better.
Right.
If you do the right things.
Absolutely.
And my goal is to get you to love your brain. It's like, no, I want a great brain.
Yeah.
Right. And then you'll help me share it when I'm on your show.
Absolutely. 100%. This is exciting. It's interesting. Surprising. I didn't know I had a toxic brain.
What'd you expect?
I
mean, if you're a narcissist, you go, I expected to be one of the best brains you ever saw.
I thought you were going to be like, I've never seen anything like this. You are a phenom. Definitely probably thought there was going to be something there with the ADHD. And then probably looking for some abnormal things, because I knew, like, I was like, I know I'm not normal. Some people call me crazy. I was like, I don't know, I'm not crazy, but I know, like, I've always been like, where everybody's zigging, I'm zagging. Like, I purposely don't go with the flow.
So you're creative.
Yeah. So,
Nick, when you look at your scan, we talked about it. What does that mean to you? What difference do you think this can make in your life?
There's clarity of like, oh, that makes sense. But then there's probably more surprise and intrigue, because like, oh, I didn't expect that. So I'm someone who always likes a new challenge and always likes a new adventure in life. So this is like, I'm up for the journey. So when I look at it, it's like certain things that make complete sense and things that I expected, but then the unexpected makes me want to dive in deeper to the journey.
Clarity and motivation.
Yes.
That's why I fell in love with imaging 33 years ago.
Yeah.